Good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'm Susie Knobloch, and on behalf of the Illinois High School Association, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 2005 State Speech Awards. I would like to thank our tournament host, Carbondale High School, and I commend their administration, staff, and the community of Carbondale for their hospitality this weekend. I would also like to express my sincere thanks to the State Final Committee for their support, assistance, and guidance this weekend as we prepared this event. I'll go through the committee members if you hold your applause till the end. The committee members were Stan Austin from Wheaton North, Jane Bailey from Waterloo, Tim Connors from Freeport, Chuck Dribbin from Glenbrook North, Tom Zerzan, Oak Lawn, Eric Ewan, Pekin, Jan Heiting, Downers Grove South, Pam Kimball, Benton, Kevin Martin, Thornton, David Rice, Morris, Greg Solomon, DeKalb, Deb Woodward, Warren, and our state final chairperson, Connie Link Hayworth. Thank you. I'd also like to thank the judges, coaches, and students who are involved in the individual events. It's the mission of the Illinois High School Association to serve member schools by providing leadership for equitable participation in interscholastic activities that enrich the educational experience. And nothing exemplifies our mission more than individual events. At this time, I would like to introduce Mr. Eric Berry, the state final host manager.
Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Carbondale, Illinois. We're glad to have you here this weekend. Give yourselves a round of applause. Come on, come on. All right, I'm going to try to make this short and sweet. First of all, I know I can speak on the behalf of Carbondale High School and the community of Carbondale in expressing our deepest gratitude for all of you to make the long trip down to Carbondale, Illinois. I have some thank yous that are very important to me. We had a ton of people, a huge number of people helping us with this tournament to make it a success. I hope it was a success. I hope you guys had a great time this weekend. First of all, I would like to thank the students of Carbondale Community High School, the timers and the room chairs, my speech team, the art students, the shop students. It's amazing the support that we got from our student body. Thank you guys very much. The teachers of Carbondale Community High School for understanding the last 2 or 3 days of me grabbing their students out of their classes to help me get this thing together, and I really appreciate that very much. And I know the students appreciate that too, so. My assistant coaches, Dr. Justin Dennis, Mrs. Cheryl Staley, and Ms. Laura Borger, for all of their hard work and dedication to us. Thank you guys very much. The administration of our school and the school board, thank you so much for all of your support. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate everything. Particularly, Mr. Steve Sabins, our superintendent, who is here this evening and will be speaking in a moment. Dr. Larry Dietz from SIU, he's the vice chancellor. He will be speaking. I'd like to thank him for being here this evening. And our mayor, Mr. Brad Cole. Thank you guys very, very much for being here, representing our community. Southern Illinois University has been very supportive. They have given us financial help and also donated the use of the Student Recreation Center this evening for our farewell party. We really appreciate that as well. Thank you so much, and I hope we all have a great time there. I'm looking forward to it. The bungee run, I hear, is great. I'm looking forward to that. So, all right. the entire community of Carbondale in the last couple of weeks, last couple of months, it's absolutely amazing how much support that we have gotten. I had no idea. It was overwhelming, the support that we have gotten here at the high school. I can't say enough about this community. I love it. I love being here, and I can't say any more about this place. I love it here so much. Okay, I have so many. Oh, yeah, that's so nice. It's so nice. I have a multitude of parents that I would like to thank individually, but I know that we're running late and we need to get going. I want to thank my steering committee, all of the parents that worked on my steering committee, and all of the parents that volunteered their time to come in and help. We could not have done this without you, and I really, really appreciate you all very, very much. So thank you, too. There are two people, and then I will conclude what I have to say here. Two people that I would like to thank personally. First of all, Mrs. Marcia Ryan, who was our fundraising chairperson. I cannot say enough about the hard work that she put in, and without her, really none of this would have been possible. So thank you very much, Marcia, wherever you are. We love you very much. Thanks a lot. And finally, a person that is near and dear to my heart, and without whom I could never have kept my sanity in the last 2 weeks. I cannot say enough about this person as well. She is one of the most lovely people I have ever met in my entire life, one of my dearest friends, and I don't know if she's right there. And I want her to come up and just wave, because without her, I would have lost my mind, and she keeps me organized, and she keeps me on task, and I love her very much. So Connie Morgan, my Fine Arts Department Chair. And now it is my pleasure to get this show going a little bit along here. I would like to welcome my superintendent, Mr. Steve Sabins. Thank you all very much. I look forward to seeing you at the farewell party. Thank you. I'm sorry, one more thing. I want to make sure this is very clear. We have some benches up here on the stage, and it's the first time this has happened in the last 10 or so years, that I would like for all the finalists to remain on stage during the performance of the state champion. So on the far stage right, we'll have the sixth place. I believe there are 7 finalists in some events, but not in duets. So 6th and 7th will share the final bench stage right. It'll go 6th place, then 5th over here, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd. Okay, just to clear that up. Again, thank you guys very much. It's my pleasure to be here tonight. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Berry, and thank all of you for being here with us this evening. It's my distinct pleasure this evening, on behalf of everyone associated with Carbondale Community High School, to extend a warm welcome this evening to our award ceremony of the IHSA State Speech Competition. What a wonderful event this has been. We also sincerely hope that your visit to Southern Illinois, and in particular to Carbondale Community High School, has been both enjoyable and rewarding. I'd like to also thank the IHSA for allowing us to host the state finals. And again, as Mr. Berry stated, a special thanks to all the volunteers that put in hundreds of hours of preparation for this special event that's taken place over the last 2 days. Most important, I would like to extend our congratulations to all of the student participants. You've worked very hard and have achieved much, and this did not occur by accident. In every sense of the word, you are all winners. Be proud of your accomplishment and know that you represent the very best of the best. Thank you for sharing your talent. Yes. Thank you for sharing your talent with us, and we wish you the very best in the future to come. Mr. Berry told me I had 1 minute or less, so I'm going to conclude by again thanking you for attending this wonderful program. Thank you for being with us, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you again. It's now a distinct pleasure to introduce the Vice Chancellor from Southern Illinois University, Dr. Larry Dietz.
Good evening. Let's try that again. Good evening. Thank you. We have a theme that's Southern hospitality that we hope that you have all enjoyed over the last day or so, and we hope that you'll come back and enjoy that again anytime, and we hope that you come often. I would echo a lot of what Steve said simply by saying that you're all winners. We're all very proud of what you've done. We're very proud of the hard work that you've put into this competition. And whether you end up in the fifth or sixth seat or the first seat, in my estimation, you all worked very hard and you're winners, and we are very proud of you. My greeting tonight is simply one of thank you for coming to Carbondale, and thank you also for coming to this high school and enjoying this beautiful new facility. I am a proud alum of this high school, not of this facility, but of this program, and I want to say what a wonderful job that the faculty and staff do here at this high school. I'm also proud to be an alum of Southern Illinois University Carbondale, and I would invite each and every one of you to check us out. You're going to check out the Recreation Center tonight, and we've got a fine recreation program, but we also have a fine academic program with strong faculty and staff and a strong student population there also. So we hope that whenever you're considering college university work that you will consider Southern Illinois University Carbondale as your academic home, Carbondale as your home, and then get to come back perhaps and visit the high school here and remember this wonderful night. So thank you for being here. Congratulations, and my best wishes to you for continued success. It's now my honor to introduce another individual who is also an alum of Southern Illinois University Carbondale. He was also the president of the student body, undergraduate student government at SIUC, and has gone on through the ranks of politics and is now the mayor of Carbondale, Illinois, the Honorable Brad Cole. Would you help greet him?
Thank you, Dr. Dietz, and I think everyone has been sufficiently welcomed here tonight, but we'll do it one more time on behalf of the members of the City Council and the residents of Carbondale. You know, I speak every day to various groups, but I've never spoken to a group of speech students, so please don't rate me and my performance tonight. We are very proud in Carbondale to be the home of CCHS and to be the capital of Southern Illinois. We hope you have had a good time here today and yesterday. We hope you enjoy yourselves tonight. The entertainment after this, I'm sure, will be very exciting. The awards presentation is right around the corner. You all deserve congratulations. We're proud to have hosted this. We welcome Susie and the IHSA. Appreciate them coming here. And again, congratulations to all of you. I believe next up is Connie Link with Hayworth High School, and we'll begin the program with her. So thank you again.
At this time, we have some presentations from Ms. Link, Ms. Heiteen, in regards to our coaches.
Several years ago, the Illinois Speech and Theater Association started a Retired Coaches Award in honor of John Hires, and we would like to announce those people this evening. from Maine East, Maine South, excuse me, to Metzinger. And and she is not here tonight, so if we could give her a big hand. We will make sure that she gets that award. Another coach that we are honoring tonight is from Peoria Woodruff, and his name is Pete Sanphilip. I don't believe that he is also in the audience, but we do know these people are here. From Peoria Richwoods, Jim Fogelmark. And from Fenton, Jim Seaman.
The National Federation of State High School Association honors outstanding speech, debate, and theater educators in their local states. On behalf of the NFHS, I would like to present the following award. Connie Link was presented with the NFHS Association Award for her devotion and unselfish devotion to interscholastic speech, debate, and theater programs. Connie Link was nominated by Carol Harms. So on behalf of the NFHS, I'd like to present Connie Link with our state award. Any comments? These are Jan's classes, yeah. And I think we're really, really close to the awards, right, Eric? Are we ready? All right. Are you ready? Here we go.
Just a couple announcements before we get started. There was a purse found in the auditorium after the OC round, and a wallet was lost. So if anybody has information about that. Okay, this is the plan. Hold up. We are just going to announce the top three winners of the performance in the round. So I'll start with third place, then second, and then first. And if you could come up, we have plaques here. Presenting our awards this evening are Barbara Levin and Linda Brandon. They're board members here at CCHS, and we appreciate you being here. Getting the third place plaque is Oak Lawn Community, who did They Shoot Horses, Don't They? our state runner-up in performance in the round is Chicago Heights Marion, who performed Having Our Say, the Delaney Sisters' first 100 years. And our state champions in performance in the round, performing The Last Flower, Dalton Thornridge.
Today we've had a national tragedy. Two airplanes have crashed into the World Trade Center in an apparent terrorist attack on our country. I have spoken to the Vice President, to the Governor of New York, to the Director of the FBI, and have ordered that the full resources of the federal government go to help the victims and their families and to conduct a full-scale investigation to hunt down and to find those folks who committed this act.
From a distance, the world looks blue and green, and the snow-capped mountains white. From a distance, the ocean ocean meets the stream and the eagle takes to flight. From a distance there is harmony, and it echoes through the land. It's the voice of hope, it's the voice of peace, it's the voice of every man.
World War XII, as everyone knows,
Brought about the collapse of civilization.
Towns, cities, and villages disappeared from the earth,
all the groves and forests were destroyed.
and all the gardens and all the works of art.
Men, women, and children became lower than the lower animals.
Discouraged and disillusioned, dogs deserted their fallen masters. Books
Paintings,
and music disappeared from the earth.
and human beings just sat around doing nothing.
Years and years went by.
Even the few generals who were left forgot what the last war had decided.
Boys and girls grew up to stare at each other blankly.
For love had passed from the earth.
One day, a young girl who had never seen a flower chanced to come upon the last one in the world.
She told the other human beings that the last flower was dying.
The last flower is dying. The last flower is dying. The last flower is dying. The only one who seemed to pay any attention to her was a young man she found wandering about. The last flower is dying.
Together, the young man and girl nurtured the flower, and it began to live again.
One day, a butterfly visited the flower.
And the next day, a hummingbird.
Before long, there were 2 flowers.
And then 4 flowers. And then a great many.
Rose and flowers flourished again.
The young girl began to take an interest in how she looked.
The young man discovered that touching the young girl was pleasurable.
And love was reborn into the world. Their children grew up strong and healthy.
And learn how to run. And laugh. And play.
Of course, dogs came out of their exodus. The young
free shelters.
Towns, cities, and villages sprang up.
And song came back into the world.
And troubadours.
And jugglers.
And tasters.
And poets.
And tasters.
And cobblers. And one, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Soldiers, lieutenants, captains, generals, and liberators. Up, 2, 3, 4. Up, 2, 3, 4. Up, 2, 3, 4. Up, 2, 3, 4.
Some people went one place to live.
And some another.
Before long, those who had gone to live in the hills wished they had gone to live in the valleys.
And those who had gone to live in the valleys.
Wished they had gone to live in the hills.
The liberators,
under the guidance of God,
set fire to the discontent. So presently, the world was at war again.
But this time, the destruction was so complete
That nothing at all was left except one man.
and one woman. One flower.
Okay, they gave me a few more instructions. First was to introduce myself. I'm Justin Dennis, assistant coach here at Carbondale Community High School. So you know who the heck I am. Okay, when I call the finalists down, if they could line up here in the center octagon, and the duets should position themselves so that the shorter person is in front, so we've got limited space here. When you're called up, go to the upper octagon, up here, and receive the medal. This is here. Receive your medal and have your photo taken by the photographer. And then, again, the 6th place will go that side, far away, and 5th place here, 4th place, 3rd place, and 2nd place. Okay, I think that should do. So on to the next event. Could we have the finalists for dramatic duet acting please come up? Cue tape. That was Babe.
Toda la vida pensé que ella y Miguel habían muerto en un accidente de coche. Y ahora, así de pronto me dices que Miguel la mató por celos.
Sí, Elisa, sí fue. No te lo dije, no.
¡Por cobarde! Porque siempre te has callado todo. No era una opción decírmelo, no. Era tu obligación si íbamos a ser los padres de Héctor.
Elisa, no sabes cómo lo lamento.
¿Hasta cuándo vas a dejar de mentir? Por callar nos perdiste a Lidia y a mí. Por callar Luis empezó a beber.
Sí,
y ahora...
Lo sé, pero ¿cómo se lo decía? Miguel me lo pidió en una carta.
Te escribió una carta y tú nunca me dijiste nada. ¡Nada! Los dos criamos a ese niño. Y tú no me contaste eso tan grave que sabías. Y Héctor lo sabe. ¡Lo sabe!
In 6th place, in dramatic duet acting, Naperville, Neuqua Valley, we have Benjamin Lundquist and Martin Kremer. In 5th place, from Oaklawn Community, Patrick Cooper and Sean Goldrick. In 4th place, from Hinsdale Central, Ariana Dzidzic and Lex Reed. Yeah, 5th place here, 4th place there. Good. In 3rd place, from Harvey Thornton, Jalissa McCautry and Catherine Cole. The runner-up in dramatic duet acting is Dalton Thornridge, Dion Rice, and Donna Carroll. And your 2005 state champions in dramatic duet acting from Wheatonville, Charles Russell and Lauren Olmelson.
think they'd find a new way to give us the spiel.
Quiet, I'm trying to hear.
They're telling you that we all have cancer.
Shh.
So, you're a shusher. It's okay. This diatribe always ends the meetings. I'm surprised I don't break out into the chorus of I will survive. You know, your lips look kind of sexy when you do that.
Look, I know you're trying to just make a friend, but I need these meetings. Don't you?
Well, sure. Just thought it was nice to talk to a human sometimes.
Yeah. I guess this disease can get pretty lonely.
You understate yourself. I think I'm going to like you.
Love
Like dandelions.
can bloom in the rockiest of soils.
Watch as Ryan and Kristen's relationship takes root in the rockiest of soils imaginable.
The Best Medicine by Joshua Sands.
So, what's your name?
Kristen.
I'm surprised you didn't say cancer victim number 3647B.
What's yours?
Ryan.
Oh.
Sorry if I was a little bit too sarcastic whenever Mark runs the meetings.
Come here a lot?
A couple of times a week. Yourself?
Just starting. Not sure if I like him yet, though.
Well, hey, why don't we go do something fun?
I don't know.
2 dates. That's all I ask.
2. Most guys just settle for 1.
Well, 2 dates. One goofy and high schoolish, and the other one romantic. And if you hate them both, then you can go back to sitting at these meetings in peace and quiet.
Well, I don't know if I
So don't tell me that your dance card is already full.
No. I'll try. Be spontaneous, right? What can it hurt? Oh,
You
man!
missed!
Well, when you said goofy and high schoolish, I had no idea we'd end up at the fair, but it fits the category, though.
All right, now you gotta follow through with the arm.
Okay.
You can knock them all over if you have the right precision and force.
You sound like an expert.
Yeah, I did this a lot when I was goofy and high schoolish.
Well, I was too busy going to tennis camp and then cheerleading camp.
An overachiever. Well, we're just cancer victims now. No more strenuous effort to try to make our futures brighter. Just focus on today. This softball. Those bottles.
That's all?
Yeah, focus on what you can control. Your mind, your heart, your way of getting through the day with a chuckle or two. It helps.
So you learn all that from Mark.
Hell no. I learned that one the hard way. Practice.
Hey, nice throw.
Send. Yes. Hey, Kristen, it's Ryan. I wanted to make plans for date number 2.
Oh, you were serious about this bare dates thing?
Well, sure, weren't you?
Sure. What'd you have in mind?
Well, I did promise romance, didn't I? Wear a cocktail dress, and I'll pick you up at 7 o'clock. Oh, wait. I gotta go see the witch doctor about the cancerous Pac-Man eating at my liver.
Ryan?
I'll pick you up at 7:30, okay?
No, Ryan,
Bye.
wait. So, a boat, champagne, and dancing?
You might think I'm trying to show off, huh?
Well, I might think that.
Are you enjoying yourself?
Yeah. You know, it amazes me how I can just forget everything with you. Did you ever think about dying?
Dying? Why? When I could be dancing
Ryan.
with you.
Really? Do you? You okay?
Yeah.
All right?
I'm fine. I guess there's the champagne or the ocean or something. I'm okay.
All right, let's take a breather.
Only if you want to.
Shoes are killing me. Ryan, hi. It's Kristen. I was at the meeting last night, the one at St. Andrews. Ryan, where are you? Just give me a call back later, okay? Bye.
It was nothing.
Ryan, you had me so worried.
I fell asleep at work. I got a little queasy. They thought I passed out.
You spent the whole weekend at the hospital.
I know. Oh, but Chris, don't worry. Cancer's like this great big ball game. I haven't struck out yet. This weekend was like the 7th inning stretch.
So you're okay now?
I feel fine. I got a green tongue. You want to see?
Ryan, really, it is time to stop with the jokes.
I know I missed the meeting. I'll pull a double on Tuesday.
Ryan!
Chris, let's go on another pair of dates. How about snowboarding and a show this time?
Damn it, Ryan! Talk to me. Don't give me one-liners and don't trail for a cancer comedy troupe. We're dying here. We got a couple of months to fit everything in and you're wasting it with this bull.
Is that what you think? This is all bull. The fair, the dancing, lunches at the bistro. Well, if that's all bull, then what the hell is the real stuff? What's real, Kristen?
I don't know.
I'll tell you what's real. It's you and me. Laughing together. Playing Yahtzee or watching Letterman on TV. That's what's real.
Yeah, but your cancer is real too.
Yeah? And it will consume you. If you let it. Don't. Don't let it.
Hi. My name is Kristen, and I have colon cancer. God. I don't really know what I'm doing up here. See, I met my boyfriend here. But it's just me. I really don't know how to do this on my own, you see. He always used to make me laugh.
No more strenuous effort to try to make our futures brighter. Just focus on today.
I can still hear him speak to me.
Focus on what you can control. Your mind, your heart, your way of getting through the day with a chuckle or two. It helps.
It makes sense. It's so hard to leave words when he's gone. See, all I can think of doing here, making jokes of how this will make our tongues turn green. You see, you're not laughing. You should either.
I'll tell you what's real. You and me. Chris, you and me. Keep it real.
Could the finalists for SOS please come down?
How blessed are the sorrowful, they shall find consolation. How blessed are those of gentle spirit, they shall have rest in everything. Hey, stop! How do you think?
If you ever say me anytime.
Oh, come on, Brian.
Will you be quiet?
Don't stick your nose.
What was sticking my nose? I was scratching.
You were sticking it while you were talking to that lady.
I wasn't.
Leave it alone. You don't get.
Do you mind if I...
We have 8 finalists. In 8th place, from Harrisburg, Jason Harbison. In 7th place, from Lincoln, Tom Swanson. In 6th place, from Gurney Warren, A.J. Aguado. In 5th place, from Northbrook, Glenbrook North, Jordan Teitelbaum. Fifth place is here, Jordan, over here. You have to be over there. In 4th place, from Oaklawn Community, Michael Norris. In 3rd place, from DeKalb, Samantha Blickhan. The 2005 runner-up for special occasion speaking from Wheaton, Warrensville South, Charles Russell. And your state champion from Glen Ellen, Glenbard West, Pat Frank.
I haven't started yet. We have to laugh. All right. They say people are like their pets. And I guess it's true. Because I used to have a pet parakeet. And we spent elected me president of this Young Politicians Club. I'd like to start by using my acceptance speech in order to thank you deeply for your votes. So thank you. Deeply. As teens interested in politics, it's up to us to learn how to be good candidates so that one day we can completely rule the world. I mean, be good leaders. Now, the first step in this is learning how to be more confident, because confidence is one of the most important attributes of communication. And believe it or not, communication is essential in the world of politics. So I'll start today by examining exactly what the differences between confidence and arrogance are. After that, I'll tell you about the road to arrogance. And let me just warn you, it's not paved with yellow bricks. Unless, of course, you're talking about little yellow arrogance bricks. In which case, yes, it is. Then finally, I'll provide some suggestions on how to be confident without turning it into arrogance. Now, just because I'm walking to the right first says nothing about my political views. And it also says nothing that I'd prefer to walk to the left. Merriam Dictionary, we're on a first name basis, states that confidence is a feeling or consciousness of one's powers, or of reliance on one's circumstances. Translated into terms that even libertarians can understand, confidence is a feeling that you can do something. Arrogance, on the other hand, let's make that the right hand, is a feeling of superiority that's manifested in an overbearing or presumptuous claim. So yes, you can think you're going to win and be confident, but when you won't stop telling us about it, now you're arrogant. According to the February 2nd, 1997 St. Louis Dispatch, there's a critical distinction, as we are attracted to confidence, but repelled by arrogance. Playful cockiness is welcomed as both an invitation and a challenge, while true arrogance offers neither. James Tyler, he's seen fire and he's seen rain. Wait, that's James Taylor. James Tyler's a professor of psychology from Florida University, and he says that the real difference between confidence and arrogance is that confidence brings people up, while arrogance brings people down. It's just that simple. So now that we know the difference between confidence and arrogance, hopefully we can pick them apart in a teen drama show. Confidence is the kid in the collared shirt and the sweater who's really dorky but also kind of cute. You know, adorkable. Arrogance is the kid in the tight t-shirt who's always flexing his abs and beating on the dork. Well, you know what, Mr. Arrogance? You're not too sexy for that shirt. And I don't need muscles to be cool. All I need is a great personality. And I also need to explain where arrogance comes from. So let me pose you a question. No, you. What is it about being given obscene amounts of power that make leaders arrogant? It actually has nothing to do with pride. Instead, arrogance is a cover-up for psychological insecurities, writes Joe Goodson in his book, The Root of the Problem. He goes on to say that arrogant people exhibit these negative behaviors through other false behaviors, and that a snobby attitude is one of these false behaviors. Similarly, Shinya Tomi, vice president of the USA Buddhist Study Department, writes in a March World Tribune article from the year 2003 that the more arrogant we become, the more keenly we feel the dependence of our happiness upon the misfortune and weakness of others. The more we bolster this false self-confidence, the less secure we feel on the inside. Thus, the happiness of the arrogant is self-consuming. Tastes like arrogance. Basically, arrogance occurs when it stops becoming about you achieving greatness and starts to become about everyone else failing. It's the difference between winning an election where both candidates are judged on the issues and winning because somebody was caught with their pants down. But belt wearing isn't the only prerequisite to good leadership. So now that we know the difference between confidence and arrogance and where arrogance comes from, we can learn how to be confident without turning it into arrogance. Now, the first step in this is realizing that we don't need to bring people down in order to succeed. In fact, it makes us look like better leaders if we win on our own merits. So don't pay hecklers in a crowd to throw eggs at your opposition, or resort to telling crazy stories about things they did when they were younger. Because come on, who hasn't run naked through a football game yelling, "Skin is in," at least once, right? Right? The point is that is that if we bring someone down and that's the only reason we're elected, then we don't deserve to be elected and probably won't be effective leaders. But if we're elected because we truly are better for our constituents, then we do deserve that post. And that's what we call confidence. According to the Quran, the only state of pride Allah permits is that shown during battle or while doing a generous act. And since both President Bush and Senator Kerry declined my invitation for a pay-per-view cage match, we can skip battle and focus on generosity. What the Islamic holy book is saying is that when we help others, we make ourselves into better people, which is a lot better than bringing people down. According to Chris Stevens, a behavioral psychologist from Yale University, another important way to be confident without turning it into arrogance is to recognize that our flaws are part of us. And although they may not stop us from succeeding, they are there. So humility should be too. So that's right. The president of your club has a left ear that is bigger than his right. And I'm too skinny. And I speak kind of nasally. And sometimes, late at night when I'm alone, I cry in the dark. This is turning from humility to emo. So you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and turn to my conclusion. Get it? I used turn twice. Hey, that's way more humor than most emo kids show. All right, club, what did we learn? Confidence equals good. Arrogance equals bad. Confidence brings people up because it's a true feeling of self-worth, while arrogance drags them down because it's actually a sign of insecurity. Finally, we learned how to stay on the good left side of the ego by helping others and recognizing that we're not always Obama. I mean, perfect. So whether you're running for President of the United States or just President of the Dungeons and Dragons Club, I want you to remember to be confident and cool, but never arrogant, because the mirror can and should be our friend, but it should never be our best friend. Oh, and if you are running for President of the United States, I also want you to remember Patrick Frank, because I'm sure you could use a good vice president, and according to my bird, I'm pretty.
Could the finalists for dramatic interpretation come down? We have 7 finalists in dramatic interpretation, and in 7th place, from Mount Prospect, Laura Hubert. In 6th place, from Peoria Richwoods, David Farino. In 5th place, from Aurora, Wabansie Valley, Alex Kritzelis. In 4th place, from Harvey Thornton, Jalissa McCautry. In 3rd place, from Oaklawn Community, Patrick Cooper. Your runner-up for dramatic interpretation is from Downers Grove South, Kelly Hires. And your state champion in dramatic interpretation is from Glenview, Glenbrook South, Colleen Skemp.
Well, here we are, all in our cages, trying to become tame. Or at least they're trying to make us tame. They treat us like we're animals, you know, always talking down to us. They think they have to talk baby language for me to understand. Though, sometimes for kicking, I'll make a really weird face just to see how they react to it. But they try not to see me, though. Oh, they say, oh, look, she's trying to say something. But I know what they're thinking. I know what you're thinking now, too. Oliver Wendell Holmes once said, "What lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us." Through 4 young playwrights, 3 people with various disabilities are given the chance to show that, although they may look different on the outside, they think and feel just as much as we do. Inside Out, Upside Down by 4 young playwrights. You know, I've noticed people's reactions when I tell them about my blindness. I mean, I might not be able to see any of you right now, but I know you're uncomfortable looking at me. I scare you, as if you're gonna catch this disease or something just by being near me. It's okay, you won't. Hey, you know, it's funny, when I first learned how, I used to read everything in sight form. I would even read the crumbs on the kitchen table and get really frustrated, because every time I tried, they would say something different. You see? It's okay. I'm okay. This is just another part of who I am. I can't hear, but I can smile though. I like to smile. Because even though I can't hear, others can, and that's good. The others smile too, but from down. And to me, down feels good. All my identity come alive when I hit the dance floor. The vibrations of music travel up through my feet, legs, and body. The light that's burning and throbbing, and I am hot. but when I'm dancing with a partner, we're never in tune with each other. And people laugh at us. But I don't care. You know, the only thing I'm thinking is, did it happiness? I mean, did love can't be beat, you know? Though I can't hear any of it, I still feel it, just the same. And life is good. I can't help it. You see this and you say, look at that freak. Yeah, people seem to be really bothered by this. I wonder if I'm like this when I'm sleeping. I don't think so. See, sleeping is nice because that's something everyone does and it doesn't set me apart. You see me sleeping and I'm just like you. And we could be friends. I could run through the park, or I could get married and have kids. Want to live? But I'm different, and they don't talk to me. See, they don't think that I'm here, and they don't think that I'm smart enough to know that I don't want to move. I just want to be still and normal and never move again. Because if I never moved again, then I would have to go through what I go through every day. Life is good, but sometimes I do get tired of people always talking down to me. You know, like they were talking to babies, stretching their lips and eyes halfway across their face, just to make a kid laugh. I mean, I laugh too, but more out of fear than anything else. But I'm not laughing anymore. You know, I'm 15 years old and people still treat me like that. Like yesterday at school, I was talking and laughing, you know, showing them what I can do, who I am. And they just kept crashing down on me. Please, I just want to grow up like everybody else. You know, you always hear people say that blindness is like closing your eyes. If you never had your eyes open, how can you tell you're not seeing anything? You know, I mean, how do you see darkness? Black's the only color I know. You know? Listen, I may never understand this whole seeing thing, but I still have eyes. I do, they're just different than yours. But our hearts are the same. Maybe they're the beautiful one. You know, the one that really tried to talk with me and laugh with me. But most of the time, they were just trying so hard that just became a little too obvious. But the important thing is that they did try. They tried to touch me.
Next up to present is another assistant coach here at CCHS, Cheryl Staley.
Can we have the finalists in extemporaneous speaking, please? We had 6 finalists in extemporaneous speaking. In 6th place, from Harrisburg High School, Jason Harbison. In 5th place, from Palanton Friend, Matt Vella. Fourth place, from Rockton, Sean Dixon. Third place, from Waterloo High School, Jason Gerontes. Your state runner-up from Crystal Lake South, Michael Golden. And the 2005 state champion from West Warren, South Wheaton, Deepika Ravi.
In the novel One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest by Ken Kesey, the character McMurphy refuses to be intimidated by Nurse Ratched. Despite Ratched's efforts to try and beat McMurphy into submission, he keeps his stance, and finally, he is successful. Just as McMurphy refused to be intimidated by Nurse Ratched, it seems that the world's population needs to follow his example and refuse to be intimidated by North Korea's tactics. As of late, it's becoming increasingly evident that North Korea may be trying to intimidate the global population. The February 14th edition of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution reported that North Korea has now admitted that it does have nuclear weapons and that it is no longer prepared to negotiate the issue. When asking the question, should the United States stop its diplomatic efforts to control North Korea's nuclear ambitions, the answer is clearly no, for 2 main reasons. First, because this issue is too dangerous to ignore, but also because the United States does have options to pursue in this situation. First, we must understand that this situation is simply too dangerous for the United States to take no notice of. We must first examine the threat to North Korea's neighbors, and then understand further the fact that the fear of exportation is very prevalent. The February 15th edition of The Economist reported that since North Korea now possesses nuclear technology, the countries surrounding North Korea are now in danger, since a nuclear attack at any time may be imminent. It seems that we have a responsibility to those countries surrounding North Korea to hopefully try to protect them. That idea was echoed by the February 15th edition of the New York Times, which stated again that North Korea may now try and attack countries surrounding it as a result of its new nuclear technology. We can understand that the countries surrounding North Korea may be in danger at this time. Therefore, the United States cannot ignore this issue. Yet we must also understand that because the fear of exportation is extremely prevalent, the entire global population may be in danger as well. This week's Economist reported that North Korea is now one step away from selling its nuclear technology to other groups. If North Korea does take this step, then it seems that the international community could be in harm. The February 14th edition of the LA Times reported that North Korea could potentially sell its nuclear secrets to terrorist groups, again intensifying that threat. When we understand that the countries surrounding North Korea are in danger, and when we understand further that the fear of exportation threatens the entire international community, we do understand that this situation is simply too dangerous for the United States to take no notice of. Therefore, we cannot abandon our diplomatic efforts at this time. Yet we must also understand that the United States does have certain steps that it can take to resolve this issue. We must first understand the strategies that the United States is pursuing and then look further to our allies. Yesterday's Wall Street Journal reported that the U.S. is pursuing a strategy to intensify and coordinate efforts to freeze the financial structure of North Korea's nuclear program. By cutting off North Korea's financial revenue, it's very likely that we can resolve this situation. Yesterday's New York Times reported that if the United States chokes off North Korea's largest sources of revenue, then it's very likely that we can achieve our end result successfully. We can see that the U.S. does have strategies that it can pursue in this situation. By cutting off North Korea's few remaining sources of revenue, we can hope to be successful. Yet we must also understand that we are not alone in this situation. We do have allies. The February 14th edition of the Boston Globe reported that China has vowed to try and persuade North Korea to return to six-party talks concerning its nuclear agenda. It seems that China is prepared to help the United States in this situation. We need to take advantage of that diplomatic alliance. That idea was better exemplified by last week's Economist, which reported that China has always believed that the Korean Peninsula should be free from nuclear technology. Not only does the United States have certain steps that it can take to resolve this issue, but we have the support of certain allies as well. When we examine these facts, we can see that the United States does have certain options to pursue in this matter. Therefore, it's unnecessary for us to abandon our diplomatic technique. Today we've understood that the situation regarding North Korea is simply too dangerous to be abandoned, and we've also seen that the United States does have certain steps to take in this situation. When we re-examine the question, should the United States abandon its diplomatic efforts to control North Korea's nuclear ambitions, the answer is definitively no, for these two reasons. Just as in the novel One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, the character Randall Patrick McMurphy refused to be intimidated by Big Nurse, but rather kept his stance, it seems that the international community must mirror his technique and refuse to be intimidated by North Korea as well. Hopefully, if we recognize this and if we take this step, we can be just as successful as McMurphy was.
Let's have the finalists, please, in oratorical declamation. we have 7 finalists in declamation. In 7th place, from Bensonville, Fenton, Laura Sauer. In 6th place, from Wheaton North, Andrea DeCamp. Fifth place, from Harrisburg, Jennifer Daniel. Fourth place, from Naperville Central, Katie Dulcie. Third place, from Downers Grove South, Ashley Lathrop. Your state runner-up, from Downers Grove North, David Knappett. And a very excited state champion from Charleston, Catalina Hernandez.
Thank you. I'm walking down a busy Chicago street with Walker, my autistic 11-year-old son, and people are staring at him. He is a boy blessed with terrific good looks. Tall and straight, big dark eyes, glossy hair, and a movie star smile. But this isn't what's turning heads. Walker isn't actually walking down the street, he's running and somehow skipping at the same time. And he isn't talking to me. He is loudly singing Jingle Bell Rock, though this is the middle of July. And he isn't, like me, trying unsuccessfully to look everywhere but into people's eyes. He is looking and smiling directly at everyone he passes, with his fingers in his ears and his elbows flared out on either side. And further baffling, he occasionally shouts, spits twice, and pulls up his shirt. In Walden, Henry David Thoreau writes, "If a man does not keep pace with his companions, perhaps it is because he hears a different drummer. Let him walk to the music which he hears, however measured or far away." No better quote can describe how Walker lives his life. Consequently, when people are presented with something outside their version of normal, they can show disapproval in many different ways. Robert Hughes explores this idea of tolerance in Living with the Look. Although I am secretly proud of every bit of the sidewalk routine of his, I am all too aware of the faces of the people we pass. Some smile, even laugh appreciatively at his obvious joy. Some flinch in exaggerated horror as though he's some ghastly space alien from Warner Brothers. Others are cool. They spot him far off and pretend not to see him when they pass. And still, others are so accustomed to such surpassing weirdness in the city that our little show comes nowhere near their threshold of surprise. One look, however, is more puzzling to me than all the others. I've come to think of it as the look. The passersby face becomes still and thoughtful. The eyes become narrow, like those of the stunning psychiatrist in an old movie when he asks his patients what the ink blots look like. A hand goes up to the lips, and shifting into a field anthropologist mode, the eyewitness stops, stares, and nods silently, as though making a mental note to write this one down in the journal. It's a lock-on target look. A piano falling onto the pavement nearby wouldn't jar the stunning logical process at work. Being upset by the look thousands of times, and being something of an amateur field anthropologist myself, I've often asked this question. Why do people act this way? The best answers that I've been able to come up with are these. 1, they are heartless and should be tortured in some hideous way for upsetting a really nice parent. 2, they are ignorant and believe that humans come in solidly normal and abnormal forms and have no doubt which kind they themselves are. 3, they aren't even aware that they have an expression on their faces and actually feel sympathy towards the boy. Or 4, they really are psychiatrists and their work is a big help to humanity. Which answer I choose is largely dependent on my mood. If I'm feeling defensive and hypersensitive, I gravitate towards numbers 1 and 2. If I'm feeling wise and magnanimous, I go for number 3. And if I'm feeling lighthearted, I amuse myself with some variation of 4. But I know that I can conjecture and never really be sure what the look means. One thing I am sure of is the look on Walker's face. Unable to speak normally, he deploys a heavy arsenal of expression and movement to communicate. The beaming smile, the direct gaze, the skip walking, the shout singing, even the vigorous spitting tells me Walker is working his audience hard. Look at me, here I am, I'm having fun. Aren't you impressed? Well, the message goes out. And some people remarkably seem to pick it up. Others, understandably, do not. But what about my face, my look? At home, I do a fair bit of attempting to see the world as Walker does and understanding him as far as possible on his own terms. Thus, a game of catch for us is not a Ward and the Beaver experience in the backyard. Played Walker style, catch is an extreme sport with rules that are reinvented by him daily. Currently, the game must be played inside the house while Walker jumps wildly on his exercise trampoline. There must be loud music playing, and he must catch and throw the ball while airborne. At unpredictable moments, he must leap off the trampoline and dash it out of the room. The one unchanging rule is this: Mom must never stop paying attention. The result is that I have long ceased aching for the normal game of catch and have learned to love the in-house version we share. When I step outside the house, however, a different, less noble point of view grips me. I begin to speculate needlessly on how outsiders see my son. Lost in a fog of anger or criticism or avoidance, I must present an uninviting picture for him and the world to look at. Why shouldn't passersby stare at that friendly son's face when the mom's face is cloudy with conflict and questioning? And now, I'm working on my look. I'm shooting for, at minimum, a near frequent smile. I want to be able to face the sidewalk parade as Walker does, with joy and hope and, most of all, with a saving sense of fun.
Our next event is impromptu speaking. May we have the finalists, please? We had 6 finalists in impromptu. In 6th place from Coal City, Grant Mosey. In 5th place from Glen Ellen, Glenbard West, Pat Frank. In 4th place, from Crystal Lake South, Michael Golden. In 3rd place, from Chicago Marist, Colleen Smith. Your state runner-up from Palanton Friend, Scott Jensen. And your 2005 state champion from Rockton, Sean Dixon.
All right. I'm used to forgetting these things 5 minutes after I do them, so take a look here. All right. The presidents and historical leaders that we remember most in America today are the ones who have been accountable for their actions, who have taken the responsibility to be responsible for what they have done wrong and what they have done right. They have followed the proverb, if you can't dance, don't blame the floor. By understanding that their mistakes are their own and moving forward because of that, they are the people we remember, the leaders who are stronger and more important today than any other. To understand this issue in its entirety, however, we must consider individuals who have shifted the blame, who have put it on other people, and why this is bad. Secondly, we must consider individuals who have taken responsibility for their actions, who have held themselves accountable, and why that makes them virtuous. Finally, after considering both of these issues, it will become clear how taking accountability for our own actions and utilizing that skill within our own lives will make us stronger and better people. Contemplation of these three areas, then, will allow us to understand why exactly that if I'm not a good dancer, I need to blame myself and not the floor. The American political scene over the past several months has changed drastically. I am, of course, talking about the upheaval in the CIA, the Central Intelligence Agency. This past year, CIA Director George Tenet was dismissed from office because of accusations of him mishandling information about the weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, of falling behind in his duties about September 11th. However, the fact is that when that information was presented to the President of the United States, the leaders of individuals taking our troops into Iraq, our Defense Secretary, Donald Rumsfeld, caveats and tenets were placed upon that information that it was not certain that weapons of mass destruction might not exist in Iraq. And yet the individuals in command of our country shifted the blame to Tenet, taking the accusations away from theirself and putting them on someone else, making him take the fall, going upon his own sword, instead of being accountable and virtuous in their own right. By shifting the blame to other people, by not being accountable for these actions, these leaders of America have lost credibility within the minds of the American people. By understanding why shifting that blame was bad, why blaming those problems upon other people was not the right choice, the thing that made them worse individuals, we can understand why they are not the virtuous ones here. That by passing the blame, they have degraded themselves and degraded the face of America. Yet for every individual who has shifted the blame, who has not let the buck stop upon his desk, there are individuals who have taken responsibility for their own actions and have become better because of it. Individuals like Gandhi and Shirley Chisholm are prime examples of people who held themselves accountable for their actions. Gandhi, of course, is remembered for his efforts in freeing India from the bondage of British tyranny. Yet throughout his life, he constantly reflected upon the poor decisions he had made, the problems he had created. He held himself accountable for things he felt were sins. He occasionally had broken his vegetarian code, eating a small bit of meat and drinking milk. He had almost given up his vow of celibacy by visiting brothels twice, although he claims he accomplished nothing. The fact is that by holding himself accountable for the mistakes he felt he made in his life, instead of blaming it upon outside influence, he was able to be a stronger leader, better able to unite the Hindus and Muslims of India and throw off the horrible government that was oppressing the people. Similarly, Shirley Chisholm took responsibility for her own actions. As the first black woman in the House of Representatives and serving 6 consecutive terms from the late 60s and throughout the 70s, she constantly challenged her party line, went against what her constituents thought was right, did what she felt that she should do as a politician. It certainly cost her political capital, angered individuals against her, and she even made the wrong decision at times, as all of us do. But she realized that the problems that had been created because she chose to go against what other people thought, the problems that she had made with poor decisions were her own. And because of that, she kept being reelected. She even ran for president in the 80s, although didn't get the party's nomination. By being accountable for her actions, she was respected by the people who voted her into office, and they continued to keep her there. Examining people who have taken accountability of them and realized that they were the bad dancers and not the floor, it becomes clear that Gandhi and Shirley Chisholm are outstanding examples of virtuous people within our own society. Yet, without contemplating how this is important for us as individuals, it is pointless to realize why we should be accountable for our own actions and examine those who haven't and those who have. By realizing that in our own lives, we can improve every aspect of them, our familial life, our school life, and even our habits in our workplace. By taking responsibility for our actions, for claiming that we made a mistake instead of saying that somebody else broke that vase or lamp. By taking responsibility for the things we do wrong, we become better people. We allow ourselves to move forward in great purposes, and we permit ourselves to be the virtuous people that our society demands. By taking accountability for our actions, then, do we become stronger and better able to move forward. The leaders that we remember in America today, be they presidents or historical figures, are the ones who were responsible for their own actions, who realized that perhaps they danced poorly and the floor didn't make them do so. Looking at examples of people who shifted blame to others and realizing why that is something that we cannot do as people. Examining how virtuous individuals who took responsibility for their own actions were able to accomplish even more because of it. We can clearly see that within our own lives, it is pertinent, necessary, and essential for all of us to take responsibility for what we do, the choices we make, the decisions that we have created. By understanding then why we must be accountable for our own actions, how we may be poor dancers and it's not because the floor is bumpy, we can truly understand what it means to be a virtuous person and how that can bring prosperity and honor to our entire world.
Our next event is Original Oratory. We had 6 finalists in Original Oratory. In 6th place, from Palos High Shepherds, Becky Ehrlich. In 5th place, from Naperville, Neuqua Valley, Benzar Shilatani. In 4th place, from Glenview, Glenbrook South, Eddie Itkin. The 3rd place winner is from Charleston, Corey Schultz. The state runner-up from Homewood Flossmoor, Caitlin Holm. And the 2005 state champion in Original Oratory from Downers Grove South, Jacelyn Bernard.
The first time I played Truth or Dare, I was in 6th grade. And I chose truth every time because I figured it would be safer that way. I was wrong. The second question I was asked was, who do you like? Well, I was head over heels in love with a boy named Jeff, but he happened to be the one who had asked me the question. And I just couldn't let Jeff know how I felt about him. I mean, if he didn't like me back, I would be making a fool of myself. So I passed on the question. And how my friends and I played, if you pass, you lose. Looking back on this situation several years later, I now realize what my problem was. I was afraid to take an emotional risk. In reality, I still am. But I'm not alone. If anyone in this room is saying, wait a minute, I feel perfectly comfortable saying I love you and telling people when I'm upset, I admire you. Because most of us are just sheep in wolves' clothing. We dress up to look tough, cool, and collected, but really, we're just wimps. And we are trying desperately to hide our vulnerability. So, to help us change our ways, we'll first examine the harms of dressing like wolves. Look at the truth of why we can't seem to shed this faux fur. And finally, take the dare and implement some solutions. We all know that Little Red was foolish to talk to the big bad wolf. But what we may not realize is that we're even worse. Dressing up in his clothes as a way to keep our emotions from others is a huge problem, and its effects are serious. In his book, Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ, author Daniel Goleman says that our emotions guide us in facing predicaments and tasks that are too important to leave to intellect alone. So when we attempt to bury our emotions because we think that they are irrational or embarrassing, we're taking a risk. And it's bigger than the risk of letting our emotions out. Ignoring them and listening only to logic can lead to bad decisions. For example, logic tells me that my future husband should adhere to 2 basic criteria. He should be able to cook, and he should be able to help the kids with math homework. But I realize that even though a person may pass the test, so to speak, it's just as important that we feel some sparks. There are also tangible harms to keeping our emotions inside. The 2000 book Cancer Diagnosis, What to Do Next, discusses a scientific link between the suppression of emotion and decreased resistance to cancer. In fact, one study showed that in 9 out of 10 cases of cancer, patients were overly rational and had anti-emotional attitudes, whereas people who felt as if they could risk expressing their true emotions were less likely to develop cancer in the first place. Additionally, it has been shown that people who suppress their emotions are more likely to suffer from depression, high blood pressure, and a weakened immune system. Clearly, this wolf suit is a huge fashion faux pas. Continuing our game, I have a truth to ask. Why are we so afraid to be the proverbial black sheep, the one willing to tell people how we really feel? The obvious answer is that we want to avoid being vulnerable. We don't want to be the meek sheep in a crowd of wolves, so we dress in wolves' clothing as a way to fit in and protect our innermost emotions. Additionally, logic tells us that our emotions are irrational, so many of us never even take the time to understand or legitimize them. In terms of our feelings, we don't know where we're heading, don't realize where we are once we get there, and once we get home, don't understand where we've been. Kind of like Christopher Columbus. But if you think about it, his risk resulted in a great discovery. If we could take emotional risks, maybe we'd discover that people like us and are willing to support us when we are happy, sad, angry, excited, embarrassed, and everywhere in between. The problem is that in our society, some emotions such as anger and sadness have been labeled bad, so we attempt to hide them at all costs. Kevin Roberts' article, Healthy Emotion, points out that most people don't show their emotions in a healthy manner. So from an early age, we imitate their stoicism. We follow the flock. But this doesn't mean that we don't get mixed messages. For example, I took creative writing last year. We were writing poetry, and some of mine got pretty personal, which was okay, until I found out that I would have to read one of my poems aloud to the class. Frantic, I asked my parents for advice. My mom told me that I should read my best poem, although it did talk about some of my deeper feelings. My dad said that I should read whatever I felt most comfortable with, although we both knew that it wasn't my best work. Most of you have probably been in some sort of situation like this, and if you're like me, you'll take the easy way out, pull on the wolf suit, and hide everything. But this needs to change. So, are we finally ready to take a dare? Are we ready to strip off this wolf's clothing and shine in the sheep's wool we were born to wear? We'd like to. So let's learn how we can become more comfortable in our own skins. Ideally, society would change so that the only negative emotion would be unresolved emotion. If this happened, we'd be able to put our feelings out there without embarrassment. But until then, we still need to find ways in which we can become more comfortable with our emotions. Something you might do is write in a journal. Be aware, though, venting alone is not enough, says Joshua Smith, a professor of psychology at Syracuse University. He says that the purpose of emotion should be to better understand, or the purpose of writing should be to better understand where our emotions come from. Using words such as because, realize, and understand should help with this. Eventually, you'll be able to share your feelings with others. And maybe you can call that someone you've been thinking about and let them know how you're feeling, even if you're angry. Or initiate a new relationship, be it with a crush, friend, teacher, coach, or even your parents. Also, we need to realize that admitting we need help is not a bad thing. I mean, Barbara Streisand saying that people who need people are the luckiest people. Sometimes we still need that metaphorical nightlight, and that's okay. So if you're scared or upset, get a hug, even if you have to ask for it. Finally, remember this. Contrary to popular belief, telling people how you feel will not always end in disaster. Peter Drucker, who is widely renowned as the founding father of the study of management, said that people who don't take risks generally make about 2 big mistakes a year. People who do take risks generally make about 2 big mistakes a year. So when you do the math, risk-taking really isn't that big of a risk. Looking back, I realized that my first game of Truth or Dare taught me a lot. I learned that if you pass on a question, you'll lose. Faux fur is out. And sometimes it's really necessary that we tell the truth about our emotions, no matter what Jeff, that cute guy who asked me who I liked, or anyone else might think. So I think we're ready to take a dare. Let's dance with wolves, rather than just dressing like them.
Humorous interpretation. We had 6 finalists in humorous interpretation. In 6th place from Oaklawn Community, Clayton Carr. In 5th place, from Wheaton, West Warrenville South, Drew Longo. Fourth place, from Peoria Rich Woods, David Farino. In 3rd place, from Harvey Thornton, Leroyce Hawkins. Your state runner-up, from Glen Ellen, Glenbard West, Paul Severino. Now wait a minute. You don't even know the whole story yet. This is Justin Kimball from Benton, and he got 5 straight ones. State champion, Justin Kimball.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, you will witness the unthinkable, the entire history of Western civilization in a single evening. We will go from the Dark Ages to the Information Age, from the abacus to the computer, from Beowulf to Baywatch. You call that progress? Yes, I do. And so, authors Austin Tishner and Reed Martin take us through the entire history of the world as we go through that great lesson of Western civilization. Okay, it's time for Chapter 1, Disc 1. Chapter 1, Disc 1. Dark Ages, the church is intolerant, and the world is run by a handful of white wealthy men. Land ho! Oh my! Have you ever seen such a green land? I have never seen such a green land. We will call it Iceland. Okay. Census, first census of the new millennium. Census. Name and occupation. My name is Leif Erikson, Viking explorer. You should already have me in there. I must have taken leaf off my census. By Yemeni, today is the first day of the new millennium, January 1st, 1000. But I thought the new millennium started January 1st, 1001. Don't be an ice hole, Eric. And so, the transition into the new millennium was a success. But there was some trouble in the Middle East. While in the Vatican, Pope Urban II tells his followers to invade the Holy Land. Christian crusades, religion on the go. But he was also quoted as saying, "Let's go kill some Arabs for Jesus." Way to go, Pope. But the actual first crusaders were killed by the Turks. Okay. Actually, I said Turks, not turkey. And so, the transition into the Middle East was a success. Okay, it's time to move on to Chapter 2. Chapter 2, the Middle Ages. Joan of Arc, the Dark Age, the church is intolerant, and the world is run by a handful of white wealthy men. Hello, my name is Joan of Arc. Now, stay with me in my head on my show is St. Michael. Good evening, St. Michael, let's talk. It's great to be here. Love the show, like the show a lot. Now I got a question for you. Where do you keep your armies? In my sleeveys. Oh, I did too much, I did too much. Now, we will be back after this commercial break from Larry's Pit Barbecue, where we will discuss that burning question, what is at stake? Meanwhile, things are looking grim in the Middle Ages. It seems I have some good news and some bad news.
What's the bad news, Doc? I can take it.
It seems you have bubonic plague.
Oh. Well, what's the good news?
You will not be having it for very long. What are you doing? Wait, I'm trying to find the great lesson of Western civilization. You mean that medical science is still inadequate and that social prejudice is still alive in the world? No. Okay, we're wasting too much time. We have to skip out to Chapter 6. Chapter 6. Industrial Revolution. Great inventors. The church is intolerant and the world is run by a handful of white wealthy men.
Seamus, you get your dad in here. Ask him if he wants potato juice or potato paste.
What are you talking about, woman? Don't you know we got no more potatoes? No more potatoes.
Jesus, Mary, Joseph, and the donkey.
No more potatoes. Oh, those English bastards. I curse them. I curse the land. I curse those British bastards. Come to. I curse them. I curse them. I curse them. And thus was born the Board of the Dance. And if you can tolerate that, you can tolerate our next act. Please welcome French impressionist Vincent van Gogh. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, for my first impression, I will be playing a crazy man who ripped off his own ear and married a whore. Excuse me. Thank you, thank you. Next, I would like to do Bridget Bardot. But who wouldn't like to do Bridget Bardot? Now we know why everyone hates the French. Well, it's time to skip ahead to Chapter 6. Chapter 6. Great. Now, we've lost the computer sound effect. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, it was me the whole time. I was just trying to maintain the lie. What lie? The big lie, the only lie. The lie that said that everything great was done by a white, right-handed, straight man. Boo. Looks like we have a lot of left-handed lesbians of color in the audience. But what have we learned? What is the great lesson of Western civilization? Maybe we knew it all along. Maybe we just had to find it out for ourselves. You mean that history repeats itself? That there'll always be the next great war? Back then we had Alexander the Fabulous. Now we have Ellen DeGeneres. Back then we had wars between the Jews and the Arabs. Now we have wars between the Jews and the Arabs. And the church is always going to be intolerant, and the world is always run by a handful of white, wealthy men. Like Oprah. Exactly.
Hi, my name is Miss Borger, and I'm an assistant speech coach for Carbondale. Yes, I am. Could I have the contestants for prose reading come down? Please come down. Please come down. Readers, plural. We had 7 contestants, and in 7th place from Byron, Sandra Summers. In 6th place from Benton, Justin Kimball. In 5th place from Normal Community, Natalie Chambers. In 4th place from Charleston, Ben Leedy. In 3rd place from Palos Heights Shepherd, Ryan Henneberry. Your state runner-up from Downers Grove South, Genevieve Garcia. And I present your state champion in prose reading from Aurora, Alex Chrysalis.
You are looking at the original hopeless lover. I love being in love. You know, it's just like that normal pit in your stomach is replaced by a whirling feeling. You take her out to a really fancy restaurant. You go shopping together. You go on double dates. It's nice. You know, you're her boyfriend now. Nobody else calls. You meet her friends, you meet her family, you talk about what your kids will look like, and you think about marrying her. You know, sometimes I'm so in love, I don't even know what I'm in love with. We often live from day to day without blinking an eye. Author Matthew Clam reminds us of the spontaneity and unpredictability of life as one man discovers that the search for yourself is never really over. Sam the Cat by Matthew Clam. My girlfriend Louise and I went to a party, mostly just advertising people I knew through work, and we are standing along the wall when she waves hello to this girl who was heading up to the bar. She stood well over 6 feet with black hair hanging around her shoulders. She had on jeans and a t-shirt, and she had this tight little athlete's butt. I wanted to talk to her, so I waited for Louise to leave and then sort of hustled up to the bar, wangled over to this chick, put on my best fake grin, and it was a man. You know, maybe he could have been one of those pretty male models you see in Calvin Klein ads. I don't know, I'm not an expert on how guys look. I mean, he was just this skinny dude with long hair. That's all. I went home and shut my eyes and I tried to sleep. Except that there was this guy. This guy, and it looked like a chick, just walking around the party in my mind. I saw him walk up to the bartender. I saw him reach into his pocket to get money. And I saw how his butt stuck out a little, and I just could not stop thinking about it, so I got up and I made myself sleep with Louise. I didn't want to, but I had to. I'm a man, you know, any man would do the same. And so now I'm thinking, now what? Was I all of a sudden gay? You know, I went to sleep one night and woke up a homo. A couple days later, we were having drinks, and the guy walks into the bar. It turns out Louise knew him because she had some connection to this country band he played in a lot. Louise waved hello and offered him a seat, and the three of us got to talking. You know, he seemed like a pretty cool guy, very, very normal acting with light, pale blue eyes. I told him that I worked for an ad agency, so if we ever needed a country band for something, I'd give him a call. And he gave me his card with his phone number on it. In quotes, it said, "Ask for John." It wasn't long before I made up an excuse to use that card. I called John and left a message on his machine saying that I wanted to talk to him about this commercial we had in mind with a country western theme. I said we needed a band, and I'd call him later that night and hung up fast. At home, I cooked dinner for myself. Louise called and asked to come over, but I made up an excuse about work. There wasn't anything left for me to clean or vacuum, so I played with my cat, Skippy. He kept scratching me accidentally. We weren't communicating very well, and I was getting more and more nervous by the second about making that phone call. I finally did, though. John answered, and I said, "Hey, John, this is Samuel Beardson. You know, as I mentioned, our creative director, Chuck, wants to use Western music on this taco commercial. Look, why don't you just mail our office a demo tape, and we can tell you what we think." We said a couple more things and then hung up. This wasn't a guy-girl thing. I mean, I have had my fair share of crushes, and none of them have ever involved this sense of disgust. You know, it's like, what the hell am I? A faggot? I guess I just don't know. During the final phone call, it kept going silent. John didn't know what I was thinking. How could he know? I said, "Your band is great. You know, you could sell anything with that voice." And I honestly cannot remember what else I told him. But then I said, "Hey, could you come over tonight and I could make you dinner?" You know, I guess I figured if I just said it because it was either that or not say anything at all. And he said, "Are you gay?" And then he hung up. I didn't want to do anything with him. You know, I didn't even think of sex with him. It didn't even enter my mind. Well, of course it did, but you know, this is not a big deal. I don't have to explain this to you. It is obvious how I felt. A week has passed since John hung up on me. My house is so neat. I should take photos of it. If I had a family, I would get everybody down here right now and take that Christmas card picture before the place got messy again. If I were married and had kids. But where would I get a Christmas tree this time of year? And who would I marry? I'll tell you who I should marry. Myself. With my cat, Skippy, as the mascot. You know, we could sail around the world together. I'd get Skippy a tiny little yellow rain suit, and I'd say, "Man the mizzenmast, you furry little wog." The ship would be my kingdom. I'd have a sword and an eye patch and some movies below decks for when the wind dies. I would love the seagoing life. You know, maybe out there I'd come across something I could understand.
Could I have the finalists for radio come down, please? Here they come, The Price is Right. Very good. We had 6 finalists. And in 6th place from Rockton is Chelsea Lang. In 5th place from Naperville Central, Adrian Peterson. In 4th place from Wheaton, Warrenville South, Matthew Tarnawa. Pardon. And in 3rd place from Peoria, Richwoods, Beverly Chu. Your state runner-up in radio from DeKalb, Samantha Blinken. And I present your state champion in radio from Oak Park, Christopher Barlow. Congratulations.
In that case, I'll stand. Israel and Palestinians move toward closer peace. Minnesota teen handed jail time for creating a computer virus. And Springfield looks for school buses to buckle up. Good afternoon. For WDDL Radio in Chicago, I'm Chris Barlow. I'll have those top stories, plus sports, weather, and more in this hour's news, brought to you by the YMCA in Carbondale. But first, new hope in the Middle East. Israelis say talks are continuing, but a Palestinian negotiator says a roadblock to peace is about to come down. Palestinian negotiator Saeb Erekat says the two sides have struck a deal over what is considered to be the test case for Israeli withdrawal from the West Bank, the handover of Jericho to Palestinian control. Last week, Israeli Prime Minister Ariel Sharon and Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas agreed in principle to the handover of 5 West Bank towns. Now, a developing situation in Europe. British police searched for fresh clues into the death of Princess Diana as they created a new, improved reconstruction of the 1997 car crash in a Paris tunnel. Overnight Tuesday, British and French police closed the tunnel where the tragedy unfolded, while photographers and surveyors used cutting-edge laser equipment to film the scene. Moving to breaking national news. A Minnesota teenager has been sentenced to 18 months in prison for unleashing a computer virus that disabled 48,000 computers. 19-year-old Jeffrey Parson created a version of the Blaster internet worm in 2003. It crippled a Microsoft Update website and spread a disabling denial-of-service virus. Parson pleaded guilty last summer to a single charge of causing damage to a protected computer. Continuing controversy on the East Coast. Some Harvard professors are questioning whether Lawrence Summers can still lead the university following his recent remarks about women. Summers has been criticized after suggesting last month that innate differences help explain why more men than women excel in math and science. At a tense meeting yesterday, faculty members said Summers had a responsibility to clear the air by releasing a transcript of his comments. Policy changes from the state capitol. An Illinois lawmaker wants students to buckle up on school buses, but his effort to require seatbelts on buses is getting some stiff resistance from school officials. State Representative Lou Lang says the high, padded seats on school buses cushion students in front and rear collisions. But the Skokie Democrat adds that buses need seatbelts to protect children from side impact crashes. Chilling details from the city. Authorities say a newborn, premature baby boy found abandoned yesterday morning in the vestibule of a Chicago church was listed in good condition last night at a Southside hospital. The Reverend Paul Kalchik said he found the 3-pound, 3-ounce baby in the poorly heated vestibule as he was opening the church for Mass. It was wrapped in a light blue towel. Stay tuned for sports and weather after the break. Many people join the YMCA with the idea that they're going to lose weight, and by and large, they are successful. But a funny thing happens on the way to that slimmer, stronger person. You make discoveries, you form friendships, you begin to look at yourself in a whole new way. And for every repetition, for every bead of sweat, and for every pound dropped, you pick up your self-worth. So look into a YMCA membership. From new group fitness classes like Lunch Crunch Abs, Y-Pump, and Cardio Kickboxing, the YMCA has a lot to offer. Stop in today and check out the YMCA at 3207 Main Street in Carbondale. You're listening to WDDL Chicago. A Major League farewell to an old Chicago rival tops our look at sports. Karl Malone officially announced his retirement as an NBA player today, promising he won't make any surprise comebacks. Malone made that announcement in Salt Lake City after spending 18 of his 19 seasons with the Jazz. He closed his career by going around one time with the LA Lakers. He says if he is fortunate enough to go into the Hall of Fame, he will go in as a Jazz man. There was an air of triumph about the United Center last night as the Bulls coolly pulled out a win over Minnesota, 95-89. Elsewhere in the NBA, New Jersey outdid Atlanta 95-90. Memphis took down Detroit 72-68. And there were two real nail-biters for basketball fans last night. Sacramento toppled Indiana 94-93, and the LA Lakers squeaked past the LA Clippers 86-85. Both games ended in overtime. Checking in with the latest from WDDL's Weather Center. Well, folks, it might be President's Day on Monday, but it's still downright cold here in the land of Lincoln. It's mostly cloudy with a few flurries right now, but expect bitter cold tonight, mostly cloudy with a continuing chance of flurries, lows in the single digits. Sunday, mostly sunny and not as cold, highs in the 30s, and on Sunday night, clear to partly cloudy, but the lows will dip back into the teens. I'm Chris Barlow, and that is this hour's news on WDDL Chicago, brought to you by the YMCA in Carbondale. It has a lot to offer. I'll be back with another update in 1 hour, but for one last time, until then, have a great day.
Would the finalists and humorous duet acting come on down? Remember, tall and back, short in front, take a picture, look pretty. I'm English, not math. In sixth place, from Gurney Warren, Joey Griffiths, and John Murphy. In fifth place, from Wheaton North, Catherine Woodywis and Colin Delaney. In fourth place, from Lincoln, Brady Gertz and Eric Nutia. In third place, from Downers Grove South, Kelly Hires and Megan Deedy. So much love. And your state runner-up in humorous duet acting from Oaklawn Community, Carlton Carr and Joshua Lopez. And I proudly present from Wheaton, Warrenville South, Nicholas Guido and Sarah Peterson as state champions.
Slide through there.
I was in the supermarket the other day trying to buy a can of tuna fish. Well, I was in the supermarket, you see, and I felt this very disturbed presence right behind me.
And there was this person standing right in front of where I wanted to reach and get my tuna fish. He was missing a tooth right in front.
It did not make for an attractive package.
There was something about her focus that made it very clear to me that she was a disturbed person.
I thought about asking him to move, but he'd probably just say something awful like, "I'll move and I'm ready, you nagging itch," and then what would I do?
Ah! So I thought to myself, you should never look at a crazy person directly. So I kept on looking at the tuna fish cans, pretending to be engrossed in whether they were in oil or in water, hoping that the person might go away.
I started to sob quietly, and the stupid person still didn't grasp that I needed to get by him to reach my tuna fish. People are so insensitive, I just hate them. So I reached over with my fist, brought it down real hard in his head and screamed, "Would you kindly move, maggot?"
I fell to the ground and some child nearby started to cry.
I shouted at the child to stop crying. I mean, he was drawing too much attention to me in the midst of unspeakable woe. What's that line from Thomas Gray again? Laughing wild amid severest woe. I'm laughing wild amid severest woe.
Are you going to mug me?
I'm laughing wild. And since he obviously didn't get it, I threw back my head and let out this enormous, frightening laugh that into a party's. Why don't you get your tooth fixed? Just a suggestion. Thomas Gray wrote the phrase "laughing wild amid severest woe" in his poem On a Distant Prospect of Eton College.
Christopher Durang names his absurdist comedy and personifies both characters after the infamous line, "laughing wild amid severest woe." But what does it mean?
I think it means that laughter can heal people.
Laughter can purge us of our pain and help us to forgive.
Two troubled strangers meet, struggle, and heal while
Laughing Wild
by Christopher Durang.
Now, I'm really trying to be positive these days, but every time I try, something terrible like this happens. Now, why would she do that? She hadn't even said at some initial point what her problem was, and then I would have known. She didn't have to take her fist and go wham on top of my head. But I mean analyzing it, looking at it in a positive light, and maybe this woman really had some terrible life story that kind of explained how she got there. You know, hitting me in the supermarket.
I feel terribly sorry for my doctors. I can tell they feel like my words are charging out of my mouth and invading their brain cells, and they're frightened! Understandably.
Now, to help me be more positive, I started to meditate like this. I am the predominant source of energy in my life. I let go of the pain from the past, and I let go of the pain from the present. I forgive those who hurt me. I forgive. That was an affirmation.
Here's the key to existence. I learned this in therapy. Always breathe. That's the basis of life. Breathing. It's basically the basis. If you don't breathe, you'll die.
Now, the theory of affirmation is that by saying something positive about yourself in the present tense, you can actually pull positive energies to you. But my affirmations don't seem to be helping. I keep having terrible dreams about the woman from the tuna fish aisle.
Dreaming wild.
Dream 1.
Would you kindly move, maggot?
What's the matter with you?
Why didn't you move? I asked you to move.
No, you didn't.
Stop crying, little girl. I didn't do anything.
You're crazy.
Dream 2. Are you reading a book? I don't have the time.
It's about 6:30.
That's not what I said, maggot! Stop crying, little girl. I didn't do anything.
You're crazy.
Dream 3.
Is something the matter?
What?
Well, you seem odd.
Don't talk to me that way, maggot! You set up, little girl! I didn't do anything! I'm crazy!
I keep having terrible nightmares. I dreamt the other night I was in the middle of Central Park. And I felt this sudden wave of empathy for her. What's the matter?
I'm laughing wild amid severest woe.
But you're weeping.
Oh. Sorry.
Did you get the tuna fish you needed?
I don't care for tuna fish. It makes me gassy. Why haven't you gotten your tooth fixed yet?
That's a good suggestion. I think I will. Would you like to join me in meditation? It always helps me to feel better.
I want to recapture the feeling of liking to be alive. I want to feel joy that looks like this.
I understand. I do. Just try to relax and just breathe.
I breathe too. That's my secret to life.
Me too.
Oh,
Then breathe with me.
okay.
Breathe in and out. In
and out.
In
and out.
In
Nobody's ever been this nice to me.
and out.
Could I have the finalists in verse reading please come down? 2 more events, people. A quick announcement in this transition. If you won a 7th or 8th place medal earlier this evening and did not get one, please come back up. They are up here. We did not get the... In 6th place from Downers Grove North, Natalie Self. In 5th place from Orland Park, Sandburg, Kathleen Pollock. Oh, so much love. From Naperville, Nequa Valley, Rihanna Pouncey. In 4th place. In 3rd place, from Gurney Warren, Matt Kaufman. Oh, more love. Your state runner-up in verse, from Wheaton North, Manny Renzo. Hey, no, sir. No, sir. Your state champion in verse reading, a fellow redhead from Downers Grove, Julie O'Brien.
Up front, what you need to know about me is that my boyfriend, Mitchell, who I dated for 3.5 years, left me for a woman named Heather. To get even, I have devoted my entire career to humiliating him in public. And has my career taken off? Because I really am good at what I do. Love is a many-splendored thing. All you need is love. The greatest thing you will ever learn is to love. Blah, blah, blah. Don't get me wrong. I love the idea of being in love. But like poet Anita Liberty, who was dumped by her boyfriend Mitchell, the heartache of a brutal breakup could leave anyone a little cynical about love. And while revenge may be sweet, there's nothing quite like a little poetic justice. How to heal the hurt by hating. Not thinking about you. Not thinking about you. Still not thinking about you. I don't care what you're doing, and I don't care who you are with, because I am not thinking about you. You are occupying no part of my thoughts. No, sirree, you are not on my mind. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even trying not to think about you. I'm just not thinking about you at all. I am Oops. I did just have a thought about you. No, that was someone else. Never mind. Still not thinking about you. Not thinking about you. No matter how hard I try, I just can't stop not thinking about you. Your absence has not made my heart grow fonder. You. You would be who? Do I know you? Did we go to the same high school? College? Camp? Did you date my sister? Do you live in my neighborhood? Have I seen you at the gym? That's clearly not it. Come on, give me a hint. I'm racking my brain trying to place your face. You? I'm sorry, do I know you? Oh my God, it's you. You, the sociopath who I dated for 3.5 years, who I lived with for 4 months, who left me for a woman named Heather. Mitchell, is that you? Funny. I don't remember you. But if I did, I'd see now that you haven't changed a bit. I am so sorry. That must be so terrible. Still be you. You're wrong, and you always were. I'm right like I always was. How does that make you feel? I don't care at all. Dear Mitchell, I got your card in the mail yesterday. I was surprised at how vulnerable you seemed, how unguarded and exposed even. I was so surprised, in fact, that I showed your card to everyone. My best friend was with me when I got it, so of course I had to show her. She thinks I'm lucky. None of her ex-boyfriends ever came crawling back to her. I was going to have dinner with my sister that night, and since I had the card with me, I showed it to her, too. She says when you apologize for not being an attentive lover, you actually seemed pretty sincere. I'm sorry, but I guess my sister must have told my parents, so of course they wanted to see it. Mom said she felt sorry for you. Why didn't I give you a second chance? But Dad, he said you were right. I did deserve better. My next-door neighbor, he marked it as the sign of a desperate man. The doorman, when I showed it to him, he was able to discern a certain strength of conviction when you said you would never be able to find a woman as beautiful or as intelligent as I am. I like the doorman. I read it out loud. I read it out loud to a packed house. I read it out loud to a packed house at the poetry club, and everyone laughed at how pathetic you are. I faxed a copy to the New York Times, and now Anna Quinlan wants to return. She promises to do a special guest column entitled Men and the Cult of Delayed Self-Awareness. Look for it soon. You know, I looked at the card yet again, and there's really nothing between the lines. It's all there in black and white. You miss me, you want me back, I won! I knew I would. But now, I have it in writing. Not yours, Anita. I'm tormented. I can't stop thinking about all of those awful things that I said to you. Like the time I said you were incredibly attractive. It's not true. And then there was the time I said you could do anything you put your mind to. You can't. Or the time I said you are the only person who can make me laugh. Don't make me laugh. Or the time I said you have plenty of hair left. Don't make me laugh. I am completely relieved to finally tell you the truth. My parents never liked you. You shouldn't be allowed to drive, and you look really, really bad. Naked. He told me I was beautiful when I'm angry. Big mistake.
my God.
Will the finalists in original comedy please come down? Please come down. Oh, it's this. There are 6 finalists in the event original comedy. And in 6th place, from Palos Heights, Mary Duty. In 5th place, from Elmhurst, York, Maggie Sotos. She loves you too. In 4th place, from Glenview, David Primer. Primer. Our final 3. In 3rd place, from South Holland, Antonio Carter. I can taste the suspense. Your state runner-up from Wheaton North, Colin Delaney. Let me say his name, people. Your state champion, LaRoyce Hawkins from Harvey.
Sorry. Oh my God. I can't believe I can't think of what to get my girlfriend Penelope for Valentine's Day. And she's gonna be here any minute. I have to be the most unsweet, impassionate, anti-romantic guys on the face of the earth. Please pardon my interruption. I'm Professor Presepatowski, and I overheard you lamenting about your predicament with your girlfriend Penelope outside of my office. Now, I might be of some assistance to you. Please, step into my office. Welcome to my office. Now, I'm a poetry professor, and some poetry advice may be precisely what you need. Thank you. I guess poetry is the only chance I have to save my relationship. Precisely. Man, now, To write a perfect poem, you need more than personification and prepositional phrases. You'll need some metaphor, a little bit of alliteration, a strong image, and of course, iambic pentameter. Well, I can see I'm losing you. So, place your pupils on this here human skull. Why do you have a human skull? This isn't just any old regular human skull. It's the authentic Shakespearean production of Hamlet's skull. And besides, poetry starts in the mind. Take a closer look. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Shakespeare, S-H to the H-Spear, legendary playwright, sonnet composer, and poet of the 17th century. That clumsy professor of yours accidentally knocked you out with this here Hamlet skull, which placed you in a world of fantasy and illusion. Well, that professor was supposed to be teaching me something about writing poetry so I can impress my girlfriend Penelope for Valentine's Day. What do I do now? Well, to be with Penelope or not to be with Penelope? That is the question, eh? Well, all the world's a stage and every man must play his part. So you must use words and phrases that make you sound smart. This will impress your Penelope. I call it elevating your level of diction. Oh, so you're saying that I should use prodigious words in a neophitical context. Exactly. You're not as dumb as you look. Instead of saying something silly like, hey, Romeo, where you be at, G? Say it with a little more class, like a Romeo. Oh, hold on. Are you trying to say that I don't have any class, Shakespeare? No, well, if we shadows have offended, think but this and all is mended. You but slumbered here from a knock in the head with this skull. Alas, poor Yorick, adieu. Where'd he go? Man, what am I supposed to do with this skull? I mean, why'd he leave me with this? Now, cat, this is the last time I'm going to tell you, keep that hat on your head, or you will get no supper, and I'll send you straight to bed. Excuse me, sir, but who exactly are you? My good man, I will grant you the truth, for I am none other than the great Dr. Seuss. Can I offer you some green eggs and ham? No, thank you, I do not like green eggs and ham. But you can offer me some poetry advice. I'm Leroyce, and I'm here to learn something about writing poetry so I can impress my girlfriend for Valentine's Day. Can you help me? Well, I believe I can grant you some poetry advice, Leroyce. L is for love, which is the opposite of hate. A is for the affection that you feel for what's your face. R is for roughneck knuckles and making McGirds. O is overrated, so it doesn't get any words. But Y is for yappity gag yeeples and yappity flax. And C is for cat. Hey, pick up that hat. Sorry. E is for E is for everything you think you want to be. And to think you could have heard it all on Mulberry Street. Wow, Doc, that was clever and nice. But that certainly wasn't what I call advice. It's an acrostic, you lame. When the first letters of the poem come from someone's name, I just use yours, Leroyce. You see, I knew that. But what I thought that, you know, that you had. And so then that's why I had just. And so what had happened was that you. I'm sorry. How can I thank you? Well, some thank me with rockets and a quirk of my quirls, but you might want to rub your skull there and get your girl. Rub my skull and get the girl. Okay. I said it, Georgia. Georgia. Now, see, now that was a hit. We need to put that on wax. Ray Charles! This is the best Valentine's Day ever. Hey, Ray. Now, I think I know how to write a poem, but I'm just not sure if I know how to say it the right way. You think you can help me out? Oh, if there's one thing I know about poetry, is that it's just like a song without drums and pianos. But anyway, I mean, a poem has to have rhythm. Now rhythm helps the poem flow. Oh, rhythm helps the poem flow. I think I feel a song coming on. Hallelujah. I can show you better than I can tell you. How about you sing a song with me? Okay. Let me see, get my rhythm up. I want to write a poem, but I'm not a poet. But you can be good and you don't even know it. But Ray, I'm terrible. I can't even rhyme. You just need a little rhythm and you be just fine. That's why I know. Yes, I know why that rhythm helps the poem flow. Oh, hello, that's why I know. Yes, I know. The rhythm helps the poem flow. That rhythm helps the poem flow. That rhythm helps the poem flow. That rhythm. Now, that's enough now, son. You taking it overboard. I'm sorry, Ray. I got a little excited about how can I thank you. Oh, don't mention this, son. Just when you do your poem, just make it do what it do, baby. Ah, yeah. Wake up, Royce, wake up. Slap me again, brother, pardon me. But you have no time to procrastinate. Your darling Penelope is here. Penelope? Oh, how you doing, Penelope? What are you doing here? Don't worry about what I'm doing here. What did you give me for Valentine's Day? Well, I didn't buy you a rose or candy or a card, but I wrote you a poem, and I wrote it from the heart. Listen, perfection is what I see when I gaze in your eyes, and echoes of your voice in my mind make me think of apple pies. And nothing on this earth, Penelope, makes me feel like you do. Extra special sauce on my Big Mac ain't as special as you. And letters in your name alone can't explain what I mean. And once I witness your grace, there's nothing else I want to see, Penelope. You're like a visa. Everywhere I want to be. Ooh, that was so sweet. No one has ever written me a poem with such big words. And with the letters in my name and we've written before. That was the best Valentine's Day gift ever. I love you. But hold on. I got a poem for you. Listen. Listen to my poem. Hold on. Listen. Listen. The poem was beautiful, but let me give you a tip. Poetry don't work if it don't come with a gift. Now where is my gift? Well, a rose and some candy from Fannie Mae, $12.99. Replacing my authentic Hamlet skull, $60 on eBay. But forgetting to buy a Valentine's Day present, writing a poem for Penelope, and almost getting away with it, priceless. Thank you.
Okay. I'd like to begin very quickly by saying congratulations to all the state champions. You guys did a great job tonight, some of the best that I can remember. Okay, 3 things very quickly. 1, the packets will be in the main lobby of the school. I believe right around Egypt, somewhere around there. I want to remind you all about the farewell party that we're having in the rec center. It's from 10 until 1. That should give you just enough time to go to your hotel, change into your shorts and shirt or whatever you'd like to wear, and meet us over there. There'll be pizza and soda provided. Also, we have all of the flags from the performance rooms, the signs, and all of the state champions are welcome to come up here at the end of the ceremony and get those. So they're back in the back here. So please do that. All right, I am here to announce the top 5 schools sweepstakes. All right, there was a 3-way tie for 5th place. We have awards for the top 3 schools, but we will announce the top 5. I'll announce the top 5. With 13 points apiece, first we have Wheaton North, 5th place. We only have third, second, and fifth. Next, Charleston High School. And Glen Ellen, Glenbard West High School. In fourth place, with 15 points, Oak Lawn Community. And in third place, if we could have the entire team come down to receive the trophy, please. Harvey Thornton High School with 17 points. And in second place, your state runner-up from Wheaton Warrenville South with 28 points. And our tournament champions with 30 points, Downers Grove South High School. Thank you very much for coming to Carbondale High School. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing all of you at the farewell party. Thanks again.